Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we have something, well, a little different. Our mission is to analyze a text that isn't from a dusty archive or some policy memo.
No, this is straight from pop culture.
Exactly. Our source material today is, I think it's fair to say, pretty unique. We're looking at excerpts from a text titled The Soulful Vibe of Tropical Kimchi Nights. And we are drilling down specifically into the complete lyrics for the song Cute Korean Girls by an artist called Donnie Doom.
It's a really remarkable piece of text.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for you, our listener, who's always looking for that shortcut to being well-informed, our goal is to apply some genuine textual analysis here.
Right.
We want to move past just, listening to the song. We're treating it as a cultural document.
Okay.
We want to extract the core narrative, look at the imagery.
And the rhetorical devices.
Exactly. And see how the lyricist is using these very specific cultural markers to build this idealized unified fantasy. We're really analyzing the mechanics of idealized cultural consumption.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Okay, so let's unpack this because the source right out of the gate presents this fascinating challenge. How do you blend two totally different environments?
Yeah.
You've got this very general idea of a tropical paradise crashing right into some very specific Korean cultural references. The whole project seems to be about fusion.
Precisely. And that fusion is absolutely not an accident. It's the defining structural element. The text uses the environment as a starting point, setting a scene of total leisure and perfection,
Right.
only to immediately redefine where the real source of pleasure is coming from.
So let's get into that. The scene setting in verse 1 is it's pure, unadulterated escapism.
Totally.
The lyricist paints this picture of complete indulgence, giving us these immediate sensory details. Sipping on a margarita, feeling the breeze in my hair.
It's a cliche almost.
It is. The location is defined in these maximalist terms. It's a tropical paradise where the sun always shines, the ultimate generic vacation spot.
And that generalized pleasure gets immediately undercut. And this rhetorical move is so critical. The environment creates the perfect conditions, sure, but the pleasure you get from that setting, it's secondary.
It's just a backdrop.
It's just functional. The pivot happens right at the end of verse 1. The setting makes life sweet, okay? But it's the cute Korean girls that got me feeling fine.
Ooh.
And just like that, the text establishes the human subjects as the primary, overwhelming source of gratification.
Right.
The whole tropical landscape is just wallpaper for their arrival.
That's a really interesting inversion. The setting is supposed to be the fantasy, but then the subjects become the fantasy.
Yes.
And then verse 2 just doubles down on the visual and the aesthetic parts. We get specific descriptions. They're rocking their sundresses. They're looking oh so fly. But what really stands out to me is the hyperbole when describing them. They have smiles that could light up the whole damn sky.
And that kind of hyperbolic language, that's just, that's a classic feature of pop lyricism, right? Especially in this genre.
It has to be over the top.
It has to be. It's signaling that we're not talking about, mild admiration. We are firmly in the realm of
superhuman appeal?
Exactly, almost superhuman. The text needs you to believe that the subjects aren't just visually appealing. They are actively transforming the world around them.
And they're active too, right? They're not just static figures. That adds to the whole vibrant feel. They are laughing and dancing to the rhythm of the wave.
Yes, that motion reinforces the joyful intensity. But let's look at the emotional claim being made. The synthesis of this whole scene. It pushes the lyricist beyond simple enjoyment.
Way bar.
He's in a state of full-blown absorption. The phrase, "these Korean girls, they're driving me insane," that is the rhetorical climax of this whole first section.
The choice of driving me insane is so fascinating. Such a classic high-stakes emotional marker.
Absolutely. It's designed to grab your attention. It's instantly relatable in a pop context. It signifies an obsession, a force so compelling that it disrupts your rational state.
So it sets the central theme.
It does. The admiration is profound, it's intense, and it's disruptive. This hyperbole is essential for creating the energy that carries you through the rest of the song. It elevates the text from a travel diary to an emotional declaration.
So we've established the emotional intensity, the state of being driven insane, but then that feeling is immediately funneled into a very specific cultural and geographical pairing in the chorus.
The merge.
The chorus is where the great merge happens, yeah. It summarizes the entire premise. Korean girls and kimchi nights. It's a tropical delight. Now this brings up a crucial question.
Okay.
What's the effect of pairing a specific traditional Korean food, like kimchi nights, with the very generic escapism of a tropical delight. Is that real fusion, or is it, just using a cultural marker for flavor?
That is the central tension of the entire text. In textual analysis, kimchi here is acting as a powerful cultural synecdoche.
Right, a part representing the whole.
Exactly. It stands in for all of Korean culture through one of its most recognizable parts. While the setting is geographically vague, the margarita, the sun introducing kimchi, instantly anchors the fantasy.
It's not just a taste, then.
No, it's a symbol of tradition, of intensity, of a certain fiery character.
That's a really potent choice. I mean, if the lyricist had picked something more globally neutral, something like Sweet Rice Nights or whatever, the whole effect would be lost.
Completely lost.
Kimchi, with its fermentation and that strong flavor, it's inherently a contrast to the easy breezy feeling of a tropical delight. It suggests the experience has some substance, maybe even a little bite.
Exactly right. It defines the atmosphere of the encounter as culturally flavored and rooted, not just another generic vacation.
Sure.
And the text doesn't stop there. It immediately moves into specific geography.
It does. It explicitly references from Busan to Jeju.
Right.
So it's connecting that generalized tropical paradise back to real defined locations inside South Korea. But why those two places in particular?
Well, think about it. Busan is this massive port city, a symbol of commerce and dynamic energy. Jeju is a famous volcanic island, seen by many Koreans as their own top-tier tropical getaway.
So it covers both the urban and the natural.
By naming these two distinct regions, the text is trying to ground the fantasy in a kind of breadth and diversity. It moves past just labeling the subjects as Asian or generically exotic. It injects a level of authenticity, of detail.
Suggesting the admiration applies across the whole country.
That's the idea. It provides the fantasy with specificity, which makes the whole narrative feel more tangible, more real.
And that drive for specificity continues when the text moves from physical details, the sundresses, the cities, the kimchi, to these abstract, intrinsic qualities. The lyricist says they got that glow so true.
That shift from the physical to the intrinsic is pivotal. That glow, it suggests an inherent, almost spiritual brightness. It implies the appeal isn't just about external factors like the setting or the fashion. It's an immutable quality.
Something they radiate from within.
Yes, something essential.
Which leads us to the text's ultimate conceptual packaging device. The line that kind of summarizes everything we're trying to figure out here.
The line, with their Korean ways and that soul vibe. This phrase is the lyricist's attempt to distill the essential, attractive characteristic of their demeanor, their culture, their whole aesthetic appeal, really, into one concise phrase.
The soulful vibe.
The soulful vibe is a conceptual placeholder for the intangible essence of modern Korean soft power. The aesthetic trends, the global influence, the confidence that comes with the rise of Hallyu culture.
So it's trying to capture what makes that intrinsic glow culturally specific.
It is. It's essentially packaging an entire cultural phenomenon into a two-word descriptor, making the intangible tangible for the listener.
And that's where the text is actually pretty skillful.
I agree. It recognizes that in a global pop context, listeners want a cohesive, appealing narrative, and Soulful Vibe serves that function beautifully, regardless of whether the lyricist has actually, analyzed all the complex sociological elements that make up that vibe.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because verse 3 then expands this appreciation from the intangible vibe to a very specific, almost comprehensive list of admired domains.
Right.
It continues the glow theme, saying they are shining in the night, which again reinforces this idea of an intrinsic allure.
And the admiration becomes holistic. It's no longer just about the individual or the setting. It's about the entire cultural output, the whole aesthetic system.
Yeah, it lists two major domains.
It does. From the fashion to the culture, everything's so fly. This suggests the appreciation is comprehensive. It's not just individual style choices, fashion. It's also the broader societal customs and national expression, culture.
So the lyricist is basically saying, I appreciate the individual, I appreciate the place, and I appreciate the entire cultural apparatus that produces this aesthetic. It's a totalizing aberration.
That's a key observation. It acknowledges the synergy between the aesthetics and the customs. The idea is that the fashion isn't just clothes, it's a manifestation of the underlying culture.
And the culture amplifies the aesthetic.
And the culture, in turn, amplifies that aesthetic appeal. This holistic view is necessary for the text to sustain its high-energy narrative.
And after listing all these parts, the style, the vibe, the culture, the text snaps right back to its central finding. It reiterates that the combination of all of it makes the experience a tropical delight can't deny.
It's presented as an undeniable truth.
Yes, established by the song's own rhetorical argument.
And the function of that repeating chorus, and the outro as well, is structurally vital. The text cannot risk any ambiguity about its central claim.
It has to land the point.
It has to. The repeated insistence, "gotta love 'em," which ends both the chorus and the outro, that serves as the final, non-negotiable emotional stamp. It leaves the listener with a feeling of profound, comprehensive, and undeniable admiration.
So the narrative loop is closed with maximum certainty.
Absolutely.
It's a very tightly argued piece of text, actually, despite how simple it seems on the surface. Every element, from the hyperbole to the geography to the cultural markers, serves to amplify this one singular theme of admiration.
It's incredibly efficient.
So we've taken this deep dive into Donny Joom's text, and what we've gained is a pretty clear structural understanding.
I think so.
The text builds a narrative around these contrasting elements. The generic tropical paradise versus the Korean specificities of, Busan, Jeju, kimchi, and it's all fused together by this unifying theme of intense, joyful admiration for cultural attributes.
The soulful vibe, the fashion, the culture.
Exact.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? Well, the text successfully builds an immersive fantasy. It uses this highly energetic language to convey an idealized, culturally enriched experience.
Right.
It shows how modern pop culture can integrate very specific national markers, not just generic exotic stuff, but define regional names and iconic foods into a broader, globally understood framework of escapism.
It's the mix that makes it work.
It's that intentional mixing of the specific and the general that makes the text resonate.
So a final provocative thought for you to take away. If the central theme really does hinge on this pairing of tropical delight with kimchi nights, consider what the text implies about the role of specific cultural consumables, like kimchi. We talked about why kimchi was chosen over, say, soju or tteokbokki because of its defining character. If the experience is defined by the intensity of that cultural flavor, does the text suggest that a generalized paradise isn't enough on its own?
That it needs an anchor.
Right, that it's insufficient without the specific, potent character of that cultural anchor. Something to think about as you navigate the flavors of your own world.